computer. Okay, the recording is now in progress. So welcome everyone again to our Monday reading of Sankalpa Kaumudi. And just looking today, we are halfway in our...
Very good. Also called to get in. What I sent it to on the Sangha group.
Let's offer some prayers to Srila Prabhupada before we begin. Nama Om Vishnu.
Chandravali, just tell
Prabhu, Prabhu, can you please so low voice?
Sati Devi Gauravani Prachaline Nivasesha Sunnivari Pashtatara Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Yeah, just saying that I just read through what we read last week, very interesting. Maharaj gave a general description of the importance of being attentive. Ekagrata, he calls it, or it is called Ekagrata, having one point of attention. But it was given as a general description of its need in one's general advancement in bhakti. Yeah, now Maharaj is speaking specifically about the role of Ekagrata or attentiveness in our development of our what's called Bhajana, or a chanting of the Maha Mantra. And he's going to describe the different stages which astute or attentive sadhakas will achieve in their chanting. That's very interesting. Hare Krishna. So, page 498, if you have the textbook with you. And I've got a little bookmark here. And we're just starting in the absence of greed. Okay. So Mother Chandravali has a hand up. Anyone else would like to read? You can please put your hand up. Let me just Harry, oh yeah. The reason why the volume is quite low is because the microphone is the other side of my desk. Here it is. Hare Krishna.
that's much better. Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I had it plugged in, but it was like 2 foot away. Okay, hopefully it's a lot better. Okay, so let's get into it. So please, you're quite welcome to ask any questions, any clarifications, or any reflections. It's always welcome. Okay, Chandravali, you could begin then, in the absence of greed.
In the absence of greed, even if a devotee has some spontaneous attachment to Krishna, he will be promoted to serve the queens of Dwarka, not the queen of Vraj. This is the teaching of Rupa Goswami. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur adds that a devotee who worships Radha Krishna and Vedic Bhakti, but who does not have greed for the forbidden love of the gopis, attains the perfection of Vaikuntha Goloka. That is the place in Goloka where Radha and Krishna are worshipped in majesty, not in sweetness.
Okay, this is, I remember I read this before, and the first time I've come across this word, Vaikuntha Goloka. Normally there are two opposites. In Vaikuntha, the Lord is worshipped with great awe and reverence. Vishnu is worshipped, Narayan is worshipped with great awe and reverence. And only in Goloka is Radha Krishna worshipped in a mood of, I say, in the mood of intimacy without knowledge of Krishna's godhood. As we know, this is the pastimes that we read about in the Krishna book. But here we're seeing an abode where it's Goloka, it's Radha Krishna, but they worship with a sense of awe and reverence. So not in sweetness, as we just mentioned, Madhurya, yeah, not in sweetness, but more, it is sweet there, but the predominant mood is awe and reverence, it seems, in that part of Goloka. Okay, Hare Krishna. You can continue, Mother.
An example of a regulated devotee attaining bhav is found in Narad's description of his ascension through
Ascension. That means going up.
Yeah. Say the word.
Going up, ascension.
Ascension. Okay. Through ruchi and ashakti, to love. This elaborate narration is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, and the example of a spontaneous devotee attaining bhav is in the less well-known description of a Gandharva girl, Chandrakanti, who was raised to bhav by dancing for Krishna. This narration is found in the Padma Purana.
I think it's also, Srila Prabhupada mentions it, or Rupa Goswami, they mention it in the Nectar of Devotion. Just Chandrakanti. She was dancing all night. What a pleasure.
Devotion. How can we not remembering that?
So yeah, it's not elaborated upon there, even in Nectar of Devotion. It's just like one sentence. It just describes that. Yeah.
Although a devotee can also attain bhav by mercy, because such perfections are rare and because this book is about sadhana, we refer readers interested in the subject to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We shall now describe how, with the assistance of attentive sankalpas, a sadhaka can make the, ascension through the stage of Nam Bhajan. Our description in this chapter will be general, with subsequent chapters offering a more detailed redemption. Our hope is that
Rendition,
this will be of help in the reader's own bhajan.
Okay, so we know where we're going now. Yeah, actually, the next few chapters really elaborates on this in a really wonderful way. For those of you, I don't know, for some time ago during COVID time, I think during COVID time, we did, perhaps just before, we did a little seminar, an online seminar on how to improve our chanting, if anyone attended that. And the presentation was basically based on this section of Sankalpa Kaumudi. And the idea is I made a presentation on the perfectional stages of chanting in order to inspire us in our chanting. Don't know if anyone took part in that. So it was based on that. And then after we did that, then we did the 10 offenses. Yeah. So first of all, so it's good to hear this because it inspires us to go forward in our chanting. Yeah, you can continue unless there's any questions or comments on this.
It's funny, we go forward like reading, we think, okay, and then you hear that you got to go back to improving your chanting and offenses, and you're like forever meditating on that.
Yeah, in one sense, but it's always good to be reminded because these different stages of achievement in chanting of the Maha Mantra, there has to be some prerequisite things in place. So if one is in the beginning stages of Krishna consciousness, they're not going to be able to access these different stages. So the first thing really is to really be free of offensive, to be free of nam aparad. So that's why we recite them every day. But but the idea is that we should be endeavoring, or we should be chanting without the fence. So that's what we're going to hear generally in a general presentation in a class which is given to the general devotees, because that's very relevant to everyone. But as my Guru Maharaj often says, devotees have been chanting 15, 20, 25 years or more. It's hoped that these other stages are going to be of great interest to them. But the general, the general.
Can I say something, Murli Prabhu?
Yes, please.
I see them as it's they're the most important things, like the keys of everything.
What, the 10 offenses?
They're like keys. They're like doors. If you mistaken one door, it's not gonna work. So if we manage establish those doors, then everything it will flow and we will relish and realize everything. But if we make a mistake in one of them, then it's more easy to see where you make the mistake, and then you can flourish in relishing the holy name.
Yeah, that's a very good description. Let's look at it like that. Like, look at the keys to get into the door of Nam Bhajan. Yeah, these the different keys. Yeah, thank you, Mother Mongol. Very nicely described, you know.
Very good, yeah.
Anyway, here we're going to hear about, we're not going to hear, Maharaj is not going to explain in detail about the 10 offenses. That's that should be understood, that one is already aware of these and is chanting without committing these offenses. Okay, continue, Mother, if you like.
Although a devotee can also attend bhav by mercy, because such.
You read that, I think. I think you read that.
Did I read that?
Did you read that?
Yes, Bhakti-Rasamrita Sindhu.
Yeah.
We shall now describe how, with the assistance of attentive sankalpas, a sadhana can make.
Yeah, no.
I read that as well.
You read that as well. You're on this new section.
Come on.
Yeah, we begin, my dear.
All right. We begin with the short overview of how the Eightfold Yoga system facilitates meditation. Such study will show the similarity of Vaishnava Bhajan to its traditional yoga counterpart, in which the depth of meditation corresponds to the depth of attention. The Eightfold System of Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, teaches attentiveness based on the principle of regulating the life's air, which in turn is instrumental to mind control. When meditation on the Super Soul is included in such sadhana, then it gains additional spiritual strength. The first 4 stages of Ashtanga Yoga, namely Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, or prohibitions, recommendations, sitting postures, and breathing exercises are all regulated practices. They are meant to qualify the yogi to enter into the realm of meditation, which is fulfilled by the other 4 stages, just as the stages of faith to Anishta Bhajan Kriya qualifies devotee to begin bhajan in earnest at the stage of steadiness.
Okay, so Marge is making a correlation to the same development. So yogis who are practicing meditation, they will enter into different stages, different, hopefully successful stages of accomplishment in being absorbed. Those same stages can be spoken of in regards to our chanting. So it's an interesting correlation that's made. Yeah. Like we have yama and niyamas, we have do's and don'ts. To avoid the offenses is niyamas and niyamas. And you can go on, and so now Maharaj is describing the different these words you might have heard before. It's the different levels of being absorbed for us in Krishna, which is the holy name. Okay, you can continue.
That's with controlling the airs and things like that.
Sorry, the first part I missed, you said?
Is it the stages of controlling different airs in your body?
Yeah, well, that's Maharaj is just speaking about the classical practice of yoga in order to achieve perfection in their yoga practice, which ultimately culminates in meditation. Right. So for instance, they have to adopt a particular way of life. Yeah. There's prohibitions and there's recommendations. And in order to meditate for a long time, you can't have creaky bones. So therefore you have to do asanas. So you can sit down for like 14, 15 hours, you know, and you have to be regulated and you have to be very fit. So Maharaj is speaking about the classic, that's the beginning stages, but we kind of bypass those stages. There's some, well, we don't bypass. We've got our own rules and regulations, but we've got our own prohibitions. We mentioned we got, for example, the 10 offenses. You know? Maharaj speaking at the stages of faith to Anishta Bhajan Kriya. So that means unsteady devotional service. And then one enters into steadiness. And then this is when these different stages can be practically, you can say this is where these stages, so we can enter into these different stages when our chanting is steady. Yes, go on, Robert. Sorry, keep on interrupting.
At the fifth stage, known as Pratyahara, the yogi is able to withdraw from sense objects and place his attention on the object of meditation. This is followed by dharana, which entails a more concentrated absorption, and then dhyana, in which the yogi has attained a proficiency of lengthy meditation that knows no distraction from outside sources. The perfection of such meditation in the eighth stage, which is samadhi, at the culmination of trance, a yogi's attention is so focused on the object of meditation that he has no awareness of himself or that he's meditating.
Okay, so Marge, we'll speak on this more, but I can't but help resist to kind of so these different stages. Hopefully, in our chanting, we will go through these different stages. So, the first stage is pratyahara. That means you may be able to focus on the holy name, the sound, or a particular meditation on Krishna for a small amount of time. Yeah, a few seconds. So again, the mind's going here and mind's going there. But with practice, then you can hold that meditation, listening to the sound or the meditation on Krishna for longer. Yeah. So more concentrated. And then that's dharana, then dhyana. So that means it's then more lengthy, hours at a time. Yeah. And there's no distraction. Nothing can distract someone. And then to samadhi, like that. And Maharaj will describe, there's a whole chapter on samadhi and all these different stages. It's all coming. Okay. Yes, go on. You can read a little bit more, and then we're pulling someone else. There is a few hands out there.
Okay.
3 hands.
While smarana in Bhakti Yoga has similarities to Asanta Yoga, our acharyas have extensively described a 5-stage development in attentiveness, which culminates in the perfection of going back to Godhead, because the cultivation of attentiveness is smarana, is so important to successful advancement culminating in love. We request our readers to give it special scrutiny, even though the subject is somewhat technical. In the Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada quotes Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary, in which the Thakur enumerates 4 stages of development up to and including prema. However, in both Jaiva Dharma and Harinam Chintamani, Bhaktivinoda Thakur repeatedly lists 5. The first 3 stages of both versions correspond, but Saraswati Thakur appears to combine the last 2 stages into one, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls Bhavana Das,
Yes.
and Prema Sampati Das, the attainment of ecstasy and then of love. Since this book does not go beyond sadhana bhakti, it is not essential for us to resolve the 2 differing versions. And since Saraswati Thakur also names the 4th stage Sampati Das, for our limited purposes, we propose that his version of this stage also includes Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bhavapana Das. In this book, we shall refer to the 5 stages of attentive bhakti presented by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. These stages of absorption in Nam Sankirtan are Shravan Das, the stage of hearing; Varna Das, the stage of acceptance or desiring; Smarana
Vasta.
or Smarana Das, the stage of remembering; Bhav Apana Das, the stage of attending ecstasy; and Prema Sampati Das, the stage of life's perfection, Prema Bhakti. Of special interest for our study are the 5 subdivisions within remembrance, which are Smarana, recollection; Dharana, absorption; Dhyana, meditation; and Anushmriti, constant remembrance; and Samadhi, trance. Before studying the division of sadhana and smarana, let us review the verse and purport in which they are cited.
Okay, perhaps you can pause there, Mother. We'll call on Mother Suniti Priya to read next. But first, is everyone with us? All following this?
Well, a bit, like the different stages, like smarana, dhyana, recollection, absorption, like that, meditation.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, how each is going one by one.
Yeah.
Before you were saying like for a shorter period, longer period. Now here it is like you remembering something, you then absorbing in that, say pastime. You're remembering the pastime, you're absorbing in the pastime, and you're meditating on the pastime, you constantly remembering that pastime. And just sometimes you're really into that pastime. Does that make sense?
Basically, yeah. And specifically in these different stages from Shravan Das to Prema Bhakti, there's different stages. Bhakti is often Rupa Goswami very much describes Bhakti, and also the Acharyas describe different levels in Bhakti. So here specifically different levels of accomplishment in Bhakti, which Maharaj is going to speak about each of these, Smaran Das or Shravana Das to Prema Bhakti, these different, different mindsets, different achievements in a devotee's persona, in a devotee's spiritual development. They will go through these different stages. Now, one of the stages is Smaran, and that Smaran is further divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stages. Okay, don't worry, as we read through this section, all this will be explained. If it's not very clear, hopefully it will become more clear. We have a good grasp of what's being explained. Okay, so I'll call on Mother Suniti Priya. You can read from Sri Upadesamrita.
Is it before studying, or Sri Upanishad means the nectar of instruction? And Rupa Goswami says that verse 8 is Apandesa Saranam, is a sense of all advice or instruction. The implication is that close study of this verse reveals rupanuga-bhakti-sadhana in a nutshell. We shall undertake that study in the context of Srila Prabhupada's purport and the commentary of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur that analyzes will reveal a clear perspective of Bhakti Bhajan and the qualification for it. Let us first see the verse and translation. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastime. Therefore, gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Gokul, Vrndavana, Dham. the serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service.
Yeah, okay. So we all have read that Upadeshamrita is the nectar of instruction. Yeah, and this verse is there. It's there in one of the latter verses. And this is in essence rupanuga-bhakti-sadhana. So we are known as Rupanuga Vaishnava. So this verse in essence is a whole path of attainment. Yeah. This is our life. This is what we are doing. It also gives what we are actually aiming for. Yeah. This is from Rupa Goswami. He's nectar of instruction. Okay. Again, please, anyone has any questions, or let's all try as much as possible be on the same page, make sure we're understanding as much as we can as we go through this, as much as we can. It's quite deep, but let's try and do our best. So if anyone has any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to ask. Yes, you can continue, Mother Suniti Priya.
We may note that the first 7 verses of Upadesh Samrita discuss the proper conduct of a Vaishnava. The 7th verse addresses those who are afflicted by ignorance. In other words, those who have not yet reached Nishtha, and the concluding verse of the book 9 to 11 deal with the good fortune, resident and bhajans of the Bhava Bhakta. Therefore, verse 8 is the bridge between Nishtha and Bhava, and it describes the sadhana that leads from former to the latter. To see Srila Prabhupada illuminating purport of this verse, we refer the reader to Appendix 5. Appendix 5, sorry. Saraswati Thakur prefaces the meaning of the shloka by encouraging neophyte to abandon bad habits through the purificatory process of regulated sadhana. The whole purpose of such practice is to train the mind to think of Krishna, because observation of the mind, absorption of the mind governs devotees' conduct, his sadhana, and his future destination. Srila Prabhupada cites Krishna's rule of thumb on mind control, which begins with the phrases Yam Yam Vapi Samaran Bhavime.
Yeah, Yam Yam Vapi Samaran Bhavam, Kalevaram. Whatever one thinks of at the time of death, that will be indicative of his next life, of his or her next life. Yam Yam Vapi Samaran Bhavam. That's from Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, Tam Tam Kalevaram.
The attainment of mind control is indicated by the word Sukirtana, especially by the prefix Su, which Srila Prabhupada translates as nicely. Chanting is nice when it is offenseless, and freedom of offense indicates the stage of Nishtha. Moreover, because the verse is the imperative.
It's in the imperative.
Imperative intently speaks to the Veda Sadhika.
Yeah, to the Vaidhi Sadhaka.
Vaidika Sadhika.
Yeah. Okay, everyone's okay with that? Any questions or comments? Without looking, can anyone tell us what the we should know Nectar of Instruction, the verse. What is verse 7? Anyone has access? Verse 7. The 7th verse addresses those who are afflicted by ignorance. Verse 7, Upadeshamrita. I could just look now. I just want to remind myself, because we should know it. I think it's Achihara Pajaya Pascha. Okay, 1 second. It's important. Close. Okay, let's see how fast I can find the nectar of instruction. Okay, Bhagavad Gita. Other books by Srila Prabhupada. Nectar of Instruction. Text. What text was it?
7, you said.
7.
Hmm.
Oh no, that can't be right.
Well, you said it.
7th verse. Oh no, yeah, okay.
It says the holy name, character,
That's it.
pastimes, and activities of Krishna are
All
all
transcendently sweet. Yep. Continue, mother.
sweet like sugar candy.
Is the washing machine going?
There's a grinder going.
Hovering in there.
Okay, I continue. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya,
Yeah.
cannot taste anything sweet.
Yeah.
It is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his desire is gradually destroyed at the root. Okay, very nice. Okay, so continue. Unless any questions, comments, we can continue the following sequence of questions. Okay, here comes some questions and answers. Okay, so if we don't have questions and I don't have answers, Marge has both now. Ask question coming up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhu, I was just thinking to ask,
Yes.
sometimes it's not unfortunate situation is its holy name is sweet, but you don't feel it. So sometimes, most of the times we are like jaundice patients, isn't it, Prabhu?
Most of the times we are.
Like jaundice patients.
Yes, yes, most of the time, but gradually we should be experiencing
Yeah,
it should change over the years.
yeah, it should,
It
yeah,
should change over the years that more we may be experiencing the sweetness rather than the struggle. And that should be something, again, if we've been practicing chanting and practicing Krishna consciousness for like for a generation or more, 10 or 10 years or more, hopefully this should be one's more experience of the sweetness that comes from chanting. It may not be like that all the time every day, but
yeah,
the percentage should be on a rise. And that will be our encouragement. Now, of course, if one is making offenses, even after being practicing Krishna consciousness for 10 years or more, if one is habituated, unfortunately, to making offenses to the holy name, say, for example, blaspheming devotees, say, for example, then that might not be the experience. So that's also to be considered. But generally, the experience should be, if one is conscientiously following the process, it should become something which we like to do now, that we look forward to our chanting.
yeah. Prabhu,
Yeah,
actually,
just one point in this. I remember Kanambakana Maharaj was speaking of his attachment to chanting.
yeah,
And he explained, like, kind of jokingly, but I think it had a serious aspect to it as well. He said, anyone who disturbs me during my chanting, then I'm going to smash at the face.
yeah,
It's a Spanish saying, I'm going to smash at your face. You touch my car, I smash at your face. So he's saying, but he's japa. Anyone who disturbs my japa, I smash at their face. So he obviously didn't literally do that, but he's expressing his attachment to, and it's something which we should not be, or we should get to the point where we can't do without that taste.
yeah.
You know, we just have to have it. And if, say, we chant 16 rounds and we're not satisfied with our absorption, then why not chant more rounds?
Oh, yeah.
Chant another 16. Why not chant another 8 rounds? You know, we should be, our life gradually, you find that devotees will become, this is devotees' life and soul is our chanting. So then everything we do, we're very, very careful of how we move and how we interact with devotees and how we do our devotional service, because we know that unless we are very careful and are conscientious, we're not going to be able to experience that sweetness.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, I kept on cutting you off.
I was thinking, Prabhu, actually,
Mm.
it's not I think I said it wrong, more than the jaundice patient, but there will be a struggle sometimes, some days, even for the 16 rounds, sometimes there's a struggle for some reason. Why that happened, Prabhu? It's not that you don't like it, you want to do it, but it's like you really wanted to cook very nicely, but that you didn't do like that.
Yeah, well, there's different things happening. One thing is that we might unknowingly be influenced by particular modes of nature on a particular day, or we might have overexposed ourselves to things and subjects of this material world and different distractions throughout the day before. So then when we come to sit down, all that we've been absorbed in or distracted by, then we will be distracted in our chanting. So that might be there. Another reason also is that, also is that Krishna may, as Krishna often does, he may withhold the particular sweetness that we was having, just to increase our eagerness as well. That is his method of dealings with his devotees. That's how he described he dealt with the gopis, even just to show everyone to the extent of their love and attachment that the gopis have with Krishna. Then Krishna disappeared from their midst. So that may be happening.
You mean, Prabhu, to be more desperate, yeah?
Yeah, that's Krishna is, Krishna's very expert. So, and Krishna's not easy because the holy name of Krishna, or the holy name is Krishna, and you can't control Krishna. Only at prema can you control Krishna. So we should take a humble position as well. Perhaps, when it's not like it was the day before, and sometimes it's like that. Sometimes devotees, I have that experience. Sometimes I have to go through a few weeks or a few months of having no taste for the holy name for one reason or another. And sometimes you can't put your thumb on it exactly. But a sincere sadhaka will be stubborn and still chant every day and beg every day until the clouds might part. And again, you taste the sweetness.
It's like fake it until you make it, yeah?
You could say that, you might say, or you just keep on trying.
Yeah.
You do not give up, you do not lose faith.
Yeah, of course, no.
You understand, it's something, you understand, this is also Krishna's mercy. I'm not getting any particular taste at this point. It may be a week, it may be 2 weeks, it may be 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, maybe some time. But a sincere sadhaka will keep on doing their service, keep on doing their chanting, keep on doing their praying.
I have another question, Prabhu. I don't know
Yes,
how
please.
to say it. Prabhu, sometimes you have done all your rounds, you don't feel that you have chanted. Why like that, Prabhu?
Because you haven't.
Yeah, let's open up.
No, I'm saying with a lot of concentration, like it's not that I'm looking up and down chanting. No, normally I try my best not to do that. And you feel that, oh no, I can chant more. Like, have I really chanted?
But that's
Yeah,
what
that's
said a little while ago. He said that you
Go
get
on.
to a point when you want to chant more and more and more. You're just not satisfied.
Oh.
When you finish your 16 rounds, you think, oh, okay, I didn't really concentrate properly. Now I'm beginning to chant properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really want to concentrate on your chant.
Yeah, devotees who regularly chant 32, 48, 64 rounds, that's a common experience. Like the 16 rounds is
Get you first.
Is the equivalent for devotees who chant 16 rounds is equivalent to 4 rounds.
Very true,
So they
Prabhu.
chant their 16 rounds, and that's just when they're getting going. They're just entering into the holy name.
Correct.
That's their experience. Then if that's the devotees are chanting like 32, 48, 64
Other
rounds.
group with India for other some other class. These devotees post 64 rounds, 48 rounds, every day, Prabhu. My
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
Hey,
so
for 16 rounds, 28 rounds, 26 rounds. This is their daily.
yeah, that's the idea. Like in the Holy Dham, it's the idea we unplug from our usual responsibilities and we have more time. So that's what the Holy Dhams are there for, to having an adventure with the holy name.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, thank you.
It's like Mr. Mata, when you finish your 16 rounds by 7 o'clock, okay, you have chores to do during the day, but you still have time to chant extra rounds because, you know, well, it's a whole day you've got.
Yeah, it's a case of organizing yourself, but yeah, and time management. But yeah, any other questions on this? And very interesting questions,
I'll
Mavanita.
tell one more thing about
Please.
you.
Yeah.
It's
Huh?
about you. It's about you, Murli Prabhu.
I'll change the subject. Go on.
No, don't take this away. It's like when I used to do early morning, little more services and schedule and things like that. And it's chanting time and you like, probably sometimes Puja is missing or something or whatever. And you go down and you say, Murli Prabhu, can I? And you really don't like being disturbed in your chanting time.
Yeah, I try and
I've
yeah.
seen that so many times.
Yeah, devotees have got the message now. If I'm chanting my rounds in japa, then unless a
Don't
bomb's
want to
dropping on,
disturb.
unless there's a nuclear bomb heading our way, then yeah, it's sacred time, you know. Okay, let's read a bit more, shall we? Who was Sunita Priya? Which you just began reading. So we're going to hear some questions and answers now on this.
We've
Yeah.
got Mari Priya and Karunamai.
Okay, should we call on another reader? Let's call on Kunamai, and then after that, Kumari Priya. 502.
The following sequence of questions and answers sheds further light on the message of this verse. That's the verse we just
Yes, correct. Upadeshan,
read.
we
Okay.
just read it as well.
What happens to the regulative practitioner when he attains steadiness? He should train his mind in systematic remembrance through Nam Sankirtan of Krishna's names as expressed by the phrase Sukirtananu Sumota Kramena.
Kramanena, yeah.
When he may not have much taste for the process, he has to requisite purity of mind. And what should he be remembering? He should remember Krishna's name. And as he becomes proficient in that, the sadhaka will remember Krishna's form, qualities, and pastimes as expressed by the phrase Nam Rupa Charitadi.
Okay, so Marge is he's analyzing the verse now. This Sankitano Shmityo Kramena. This is from the verse. Let me check. Is it from the verse? No, it's not from the verse. The phrase Sankitano Shmityo Kramena. Let me check again. Okay, yeah. Okay, carry on.
It's there on page 500.
Okay, it's there.
Second line, Smityo
Oh yeah, this is another. Excuse me. Yeah, I was looking at the verse in the Upadeshamrita.
Oh no,
Which is,
he's got it.
here, yeah. Kramena means like systematic. You're following systematic paths. So again, if there's no specific taste, interesting, we're just speaking about that, then one continues in their pramena, they continue in their practice, and that requires a certain level of purity. So that means steadiness. Yeah, that means one's steady. Steadiness, taste or no taste, one is steady. Yeah. Okay, can carry on. I
How
can
should
watch.
that sadhana be practiced? The devotee should live in Vraj, either physically or within his mind, and under the guidance of a devotee experienced in the ways of devotion, he may internally aspire to follow the example of an eternal resident of Vraj, a raga mika bhakta.
Bhakta. Okay, any question? We'll just stop at each one if there's any questions about that. This is.
I've got a question.
Yes, please, Mother Raj
Yes,
Kishore.
Prabhu. We are chanting and, hopefully thinking of Vraja. And if there is some experience, we know you better than we know anyone else. So is it all right to come and ask you a question?
Huh? Is it okay to ask me a question?
Yeah, like that. Like what Karunamai has just read.
Well, I could try, whether I have the answer or not, but yeah. Oh, and I'm not quite sure. I didn't quite catch your question.
But
During the chanting,
Sorry?
while we are thinking of Vraj and all that, some experience comes up.
Yeah.
It's all right to ask you.
Yeah, whether I'll be able to answer it or not, I can only try.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, you're welcome to ask. These questions are very nice, and I can share whatever experience I do have or I don't have, or what I've read as well, because I've spent quite some time studying the books of Shivaram Swami Maharaj, who really puts a lot into this internal development. So I may not have realized a lot of things, but I may have read it, so I can perhaps help you in that regard,
Okay, thanks.
Yes, no problem. Hare Krishna. That's all me. Hare Krishna. Yes, can continue, Mama, unless there's any other questions.
What will the development of a devotee sadhana look like? It is individual and will vary from devotee to devotee. After fulfilling the qualifications of Shravan Das, a learned sadhaka will come to the conclusion that Vrajbhav is his aspiration. That is Varana Das.
That's acceptance, one accepts within the core of their heart, their specific aspiration is Vraja Bhakti. That's now their inspiration. That's what they're aiming for, and they're very clear about it. Varana Das. They're not just then things are becoming more specific. They're not just chanting the holy name and hope for the best. I don't, let's see, I take birth as a tree or a spider, I don't know, whatever. No, one is becoming very specific. Yeah, carry on.
That is Varana Das. Thereafter follows Vyoh Sadhana by the process of remembrance through Nam Sankirtan, which is explained in the sections to follow. It is compulsory to embrace Vraj Bhakti.
Compulsory means you have to do it. Okay.
This verse offers advice. One can choose to worship some other form of Krishna. However, Rupa Goswami, Srila Prabhupada, and Saraswati Thakur recommend that one becomes a follower of Vrajavasi. This is emphasized by the phrases Tistan Vraje and Tad Anuragi Jananugami. How does Raga Bhakti manifest as one passes through the 5 steps of Smaran Das, from Smaran to Samadhi? As mentioned earlier, the sadhaka will begin as a regulated devotee. When he reaches the stage of Ruchi or Ashakti, he will probably awaken greed and enter the realm of spontaneous devotion. In support of the answer above, we quote Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. When one has developed such attachment, he can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Krishna, even without following the regulative principles. This stage is called Raga Bhakti, or devotional service in spontaneous love.
Okay, any questions about that? About this? Is that okay with everyone? One can one who's developed the Shakti, they can serve Krishna even without following the regulative principles. Is everyone okay with that?
No.
Mother Monk is nodding his head. Someone might explain that.
That's some utopian level that I will never reach. That's how I can
That's some
explain.
utopian level.
Because that's normal. For them, this regulative principles is for us. For them, it's normal. So there is no principles for them.
Yeah, Nitai Mata's taken it in the right direction. Spontaneously and naturally, they are following the regulative principles. But it's not in their mind, oh, I have to follow the regulative principles. It's not. What's in their mind is Krishna. And externally, they follow the regulative principles, but they're not making an effort to, because they're spontaneously attracted to Krishna. So let's be clear on that. Okay. These are sahajas who so-called absorbed in Krishna, but they don't follow regulative principles. They have even illicit relationships, and they proclaim to be they claim to be advanced devotees. So anyway, so we're clear on that. Yeah, thank you, Nitai Mata. You took us in the right direction. So yeah, they don't have to be reminded about the regulative principles at this stage. Yes, there's naturally lead a pure life. They're naturally. Yeah. All right. Okay, 5 minutes left. Quick, let's squeeze in some more. Yes.
I think, Prabhu,
Please,
Hare
Sharada.
Krishna Guru,
Yes, please.
I think we can only develop the spontaneous love when we are free from the offenses and we have developed our heart, the humility and compassion. That's what His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was saying other day.
Yeah, generally it's gonna this spontaneous attraction. Generally, my Guru Maharaj mentions it can theoretically develop earlier stages from practice in the previous life, but generally it's going to develop at stages of Nishtha onwards. Okay, one may be following, may be inspired by the resonance of Vrndavana at the stage of Nishtha. And remember, that's Raganuga-sadhana. It's a specific practice. It doesn't mean someone who's a Raganuga sadhaka, they are not at a stage of perfection. They're just inspired by the resonance of Vrndavana, and they still may have a ways to go to get free of different subtle anarthas, which still may be there. So Raganuga sadhana, if someone's practicing Raganuga sadhana, it doesn't mean they're Uttama Bhakta. They may be a Madhyam Adhikari as well. It's just a specific type of inspiration for their spiritual life is coming from the service rendered by the resonance of Vrndavana. Yeah, so you're looking at.
So this all depends on the condition.
Sorry?
This all depends. I said this depends upon the conditioning of the individual soul, because it might take not just one lifetime, possibly maybe more than one.
Well,
to that stage.
Well, in one sense, yes, but this is the whole point of this book that Maharaj has written and the study that we are doing. Because as you caught this section, we read a couple of paragraphs. This book is about the sadhana for achieving bhava, for achieving this spontaneous level. So it's up to us. If we read about the importance, like if we hear and we study about the importance of ekagrata, about being attentive, we can apply that tomorrow, and then that will speed up our process. That will speed up. We shouldn't just resign ourselves to as such. We can transform our spiritual life by what we hear, and now we're hearing this quite detailed study. And if we apply it, also Bhuta Bhavana, as usual, he always gives us a wonderful class. He gave a class on Sunday. He was speaking on this principle as well, about how doing quality sadhana will lead to transformation. and experience, you know. So what you're saying is right in one sense, Mahashoda, but in another sense, the more we understand about the science, about the Abhidheya, this is Abhidheya. We have Sambandha, we have Abhidheya and Prayojan.
Yeah.
So this is Sambandha. So it's up to us how much we apply ourselves to what is being explained.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this goes to the verse in the Bhagavad Gita. That's the Vyavasai Kripa Buddhi Eke Guru Nandana. Just one pointed
Yeah.
devotion.
Bahusha, yeah, Nantashta, yeah, recite, yeah, one pointed. So Ekagrata, this is this section is about expansion of this Ekagrata, which means one pointed attention, and its absolute essentiality that's needed in our practice, you know. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
it's a challenge, no doubt, because we are conditioned souls, but yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Let's, okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, we'll just finish on this question. Perhaps it just hit
Yeah.
7
I
o'clock.
just wanted to say, my Guru Maharaj always says, you cannot attend Krishna without the mercy of Nitai Gaura. So we are talking about Nitai Gaura. It's a chanting. It's a right, Prabhu.
Yeah, now that's another whole aspect. That's a whole nother aspect of our culture, a whole nother aspect of our practice, which Marge does speak about. And obviously it plays an important role. And we are in the mission. We are the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and we're in the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he does play, thank you for bringing this out. It's very important. He plays a very vital role. It's more than a vital role in serving him and serving his mission. These different stages are expedited. You know, we can gain access, and without his grace and mercy, we cannot gain access to these different stages, you know. So yeah, as we read in, it's one of the things we come across as we hear classes and we study. You have to take shelter of you know, so many people. Rupa Goswami, you know, Rupa Goswami. First of all, we have to take Rupa Manjari, Rupa Goswami, Rupa Manjari, Raghunath Das Goswami, Lord Chaitanya. Before Lord Chaitanya, you have to take the mercy of Nitai. Before Nitai, you have to take the mercy of the spiritual master. How we hear, you know. So that can all be done if we follow the movement that we're in, and we serve the Sankirtan movement. All this is going on inconceivably at the same time. You know, every day we're coming before Lord Chaitanya. We're chanting their name, Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Yeah, before every round we chant the Panchatattva Maha Mantra. We hear Krishna's part, we hear Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, etc. Yeah, so don't forget Lord Chaitanya. Thank you, Nitai Mata. You are a very good representative of Jai Pataka Maharaj. He's a very much into Goloka, so much, and he's reminding us all. Thank you, Nitai Mata. Okay, let's pause there. And tomorrow we have Bhagavad Gita. Thank you for joining us, and please join us next Monday as we continue this wonderful discussion on Nam Bhajan. Yeah. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone.
Thank you for
Hare Bol, Hare Krishna.
Thank
Thank you, Prabhu. His Grace Prabhu Ki
Very
Jai.
Krishna.
Deva Chapatitanam Pavane Vyo Vaishnava